What is combustion? Combustion, by definition, it is a chemical process in which a substance reacts with oxygen, that is air, to give heat and light. The light which is given off during combustion can be in the form of flame or as a glow. For example, wood burns by producing a flame, but charcoal burns by producing light in the form of glow. The substance, therefore, which undergoes combustion, they are said to be combustible substances or fuel. Let us ponder on some examples of combustion. Burning a candle. Here, the wax, it reacts with oxygen and therefore produces light. Little of heat is also produced in the process. Burning of wood at fireplace. Igniting a gas burner on a stove or grill. Burning of coal in power plant. Burning fuel in an automobile engine. Burning of glucose in our body, that is cellular respiration. All these are examples of combustion. Before we can talk about combustion in detail, let us also refer to a few reactions which are also called as combustion reaction. In these reactions, you will notice that the combustible substance or the fuel, it reacts with oxygen and produces the product as well as heat and light. As you can see on your screen, in the first case, it is the example of burning of charcoal. Charcoal mainly consists of carbon and therefore with oxygen it produces carbon dioxide. Heat and light energy is also produced. Again, burning of rocket fuel, that is liquid hydrogen. When it burns in the presence of air, it forms water. Heat and light as well is produced. The third example is when acetylene, which is a hydrocarbon, it is used in welding of torches, then also it reacts with oxygen and therefore produces carbon dioxide and water. These are just few examples to quote. Magnesium ribbon burns in air and produces magnesium oxide and releases heat and light. Cellular respiration, it is an example of slow combustion. Rusting, it is an example of slow combustion. Take a piece of paper, apply a lighted matchstick to this piece of paper. You will find that the piece of paper starts burning. Whereas, if you take a stone and therefore apply the same matchstick, then you will find that this stone does not undergo combustion. Therefore, we can say that there are two types of substances. One combustible and the other non-combustible. Combustible substances, as you can see on your screen, are those substances which burn in air to produce heat and light. The production of heat and light is not mandatory in all cases. Example: wood, coal, charcoal, kerosene, petrol, diesel, LPG, and the list goes on. Some substances, they catch fire at very low temperature and therefore these are called as inflammable substances. For example, petrol, it catches fire very easily on being lighted with a matchstick and even burns explosively. This is the reason why petrol is not used in stove. There are examples of combustible substances like wood, the log of wood, coal. These are those combustible substances which do not catch fire very easily. They need very high temperature to catch fire. The next category of substance that we'll talk about is non-combustible substance. Now, what are non-combustible substances? These non-combustible substances are just opposite to combustible substance. These are those substances which do not burn or they do not catch fire. That is, in other words, we can say that those substances which do not undergo combustion, they are known as non-combustible substances. Examples: stone, glass, sand, as you can see on the screen, bricks, soil, water, iron nail, copper objects, asbestos. All these are examples of non-combustible substances. Now let us find out the conditions that are necessary for combustion. There are three conditions that are necessary for combustion to take place. First one, presence of a combustible substance, that is a substance that can burn or a fuel. Second, presence of a supporter of combustion, that is in the form of air or oxygen. Third, heating the combustible substance to its ignition temperature. So as you can see on your screen, these three trio, they are necessary for combustion to take place. Combustible substance, that is when a fire starts in a room, what do? We remove all the combustible substance like wooden furniture, clothes, books, papers, so that the fire doesn't spread because of the presence of large number of combustible substance. So combustible substance or fuel, they are actually the food for the fire. Next one is the supporter of combustion, oxygen, air. The most common supporter around us is in the form of air, that is oxygen present. Now how can this air support combustion? Let us understand this with an example. If a burning charcoal is covered with a vessel, it stops burning after some time. Why? Because the vessel cuts the supply of supporter of combustion or air to the burning charcoal, and hence the charcoal stops burning. When the clothes of a person catch fire, the person is covered with a blanket to extinguish fire. Why do we do so? This is because when burning clothes of a person are covered with a blanket, the supply of air to the burning cloth is cut off, to which the cloth stops burning and the fire gets extinguished. So therefore, a supporter of combustion is necessary for combustion to take place. Let us talk about the third one, the third condition, that is ignition temperature. This word must be new to you. So let us define ignition temperature first. Ignition temperature by definition is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire and starts burning. When we talk about a substance, we are talking about fuel or combustible substance only. This temperature is called as ignition temperature. It is necessary to heat a combustible substance to its ignition temperature so that it may undergo combustion or it will burn. If this ignition temperature is absent, the combustible substance will not burn, even if the supporter of combustion is present. For example, paper. The ignition temperature of paper is 233 degrees centigrade. That is higher than the room temperature. That is why paper, even though it is a combustible substance and there is a supporter of combustion, that is oxygen present in the room, but the paper of your notebook or the paper of your book or the paper that is kept in your room does not catch fire. Some substances have low ignition temperature like paper, splinter of wood, dry grass, white phosphorus. They have got low ignition temperature. A few combustible substance along with their ignition temperature is given on your screen. See, what do we understand? If a substance it has got low ignition temperature means it can burn easily. The substance which have very low ignition temperature and easily catch fire with a flame, these are called as inflammable substances. For example, petrol, alcohol, LPG, CNG, these all are inflammable substances which have very low ignition temperature. While there are a few substances which have high ignition temperature like coal, charcoal, log of wood, cow dung. These substances have high ignition temperature and therefore catch fire with difficulty. Now, what do we have on the screen? We have big logs of wood, whereas on the other side we also have splinter of wood present. We know that it is difficult to burn log of wood, but a tiny splinter of wood, they can be easily burnt. That is because a splinter of wood, it has got low ignition temperature. Therefore, a matchstick can produce sufficient heat to reach the ignition temperature of splinter of wood. But the ignition temperature of log of wood is high, which cannot be reached by the small heat produced by a burning matchstick. So we can say that a matchstick cannot light or burn a log of wood directly. In order to burn this log of wood, as in chulhas, a small fire is first started by burning straw or dry grass with a matchstick. And then the log of wood which is placed over this fire therefore gets heated to its ignition temperature, due to which the log of wood starts burning. Let us discuss another topic related to ignition temperature. We must have heard of forest fires. These forest fires, they sometimes occur on their own. At other time, there can be reasons, or the reason can be human activity or human irresponsibility. But at times, forest fires, they occur on their own, especially during hot summer days. This happens when the extreme heat of the summer therefore helps the dry grass to reach its ignition temperature, which makes the dry grass catch fire. From the burning grass, the fire spreads to bushes and trees, and very soon the whole forest is set on fire. It is very difficult to control such forest fires. From this explanation, we can deduce or we can conclude that these forest fires at times they are spontaneous. They occur on their own. So students, this is all for today. Please review through your lecture. Stay safe and take care.